A very warm welcome to perhaps the most fascinating show I have done in a long time. Most of you come here again and again, every day, every video, every show, to hear the blunt, honest, undiluted truth. On our show today, you will hear things I have feared to say over the last few months. You will hear me saying those things clearly. And of course, it is all based with the current hot political topic in our country, Kenya. My intention is not to hurt anybody's feelings. My intention, my objective, my prayer is that at the end of the show today, we will have a lot of people doing some serious soul searching, because it is critical and important to do so, especially during this season of deception. Because as a human, no matter how small and insignificant you think you are, you will always be responsible for what you do and what you say. Yeah, your choices indeed have consequences, very grave consequences if you get it wrong. Karibu sana. As we prepare to head towards the referendum, it is time for an honest talk. It is time to be very blunt. The job I do is extremely difficult because a lot of times I'm dealing with human emotion. Yeah. And many times I have to measure my words very carefully. Yeah, because I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Those of you who are married are very much aware that couples regularly need to have an honest, candid discussion where they say things bluntly and as they are. Now, so far, only one county has voted against the BBI bill, Baringo. That will put the other counties that are yet to vote under intense pressure. Pressure to vote yes. It is the same thing that happens, in any election. When you go to vote and you're amongst the last people to vote and you notice that there's a wave towards a certain candidate, whom it seems will win by a landslide. It's that kind of pressure I'm talking about. Because, as Kenyans say, you don't want to lose your vote. Hautaki kupoteza kura yako. That's the pressure I'm talking about. But in my view again, the Baringo MCAs also have a problem. And this problem will come to them in the future. When all the emotions, especially in the Rift Valley, towards the 2022 presidential elections are gone. And even before that, during the 2022 general elections, they could also find themselves in the same problem. Because an opponent who wants their seat could easily sell the narrative that that particular MCA did not want more money to the constituency, coming to the constituency, which is what the BBI would bring. And under certain circumstances, that can be a very powerful narrative. But because we're having a very candid discussion today, let's back up a little to the time when the pandemic crisis hit the country, because that's where it all started. That is where the anger of the Kenyan voter started. And I believe I did a video on this channel on this particular subject. And the COVID millionaires scandal, where we were given promises that are yet to be met. We were told, by the next week or so, we would see people being arrested. Those investigating would get to the bottom of the issue of how in the middle of a pandemic, when Kenyans were suffering, people had lost their jobs, people couldn't open their restaurants, etc., etc. How in the middle of all that suffering, a few Kenyans made millions. Pop! This scandal did not involve Deputy President William Samoei Ruto or his allies. And indeed, the Deputy President was very delighted about it. I believe he did a few tweets. And the narrative quickly became that we have other priorities. BBI can wait. What were these other priorities? Sorting out the economy, getting those Kenyans who lost their jobs back to work, etc., etc. It was a powerful narrative. And of course, it completely ignored the political reality. And the political reality is that you cannot change the Constitution when you're ready. You can never change the Constitution when you feel that it is time to change it. The only time you can change a Constitution is when you have enough numbers. When you have enough political consensus. And usually, this is very rare. For over 20 years, Kenyans tried to get a new constitution, but we failed each and every time. It was time for a new constitution, everybody agreed, and this was urgent, everybody agreed. But for 20 years, over 20 years, we tried and failed. And it only worked when we had a political consensus, numbers, enough to pass that new constitution. Remember, today we're being very blunt. We're not pulling any punches. Saying the BBI can wait is like saying we can wait to score a goal. We don't need to score it right now. It is not time. We have other priorities, which are equally important, like dominating the game, entertaining the crowd, etc., etc. In other words, there's nothing like the right time to score a goal. No. It all boils down to opportunity. If during the first 10 seconds of the game, you have an opportunity to score, you score. You don't say it's too early. Now, even if you told some Kenyans what I've just said 1,000,000 times, it would never register. Why? Because they were very angry at the government. The BBI can wait. It is not time. Okay? We have other priorities, like fixing the economy. So what is the plan to fix the economy? Answer, there's no plan yet, but the government can do it. That should be their priority. And the truth is, Kenyans are angry. They're livid. Indeed, I know people who are so worked up that every time they hear the word BBI, they go crazy. And our candid discussion continues. Now, as far as I know, Raila Odinga and his allies were not involved in the COVID millionaire scandal. But that has not stopped Raila from taking the brunt of most of this rage from a large section of Kenyans. But while all this is going on, many of those who are angry towards Raila and towards the BBI have not realized one very important key development. And that is, by going against the BBI, they are actually supporting Deputy President William Samoei Ruto's 2022 bid for the presidency. And of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The problem is The vast majority of anti-BBI proponents do not realize this. And some of them are not interested because they're angry. They're annoyed at the government. So who cares who they're supporting by rejecting the BBI? The Swahili have a saying, hasira hasara. The honest truth is that as a country, we have a very major problem that in future could cause the entire country to ground to a halt. And that is our elections. Our elections are rigged, they're stolen. Our elections affect our economy, the economy we want the government to focus on. Because even as we speak, we're in the year 2021, early 2021, but there are a lot of investments that are on hold until after the 2022 general elections. Let's be very honest here. Assume you're an investor and you have 1 billion Kenya shillings to put into a business. Nobody in their right mind would go ahead with such an investment when things are so uncertain, especially concerning the 2022 general elections. The BBI is the only deal on the table, last time I checked, that seeks to address that. And the honest truth is that the main person behind this BBI is a person who understands stolen elections more than you and I. Why? Because he has a record. I believe the Guinness Book of World Records should look into this. He has a record of being the man on the continent and probably on the entire globe who has had the highest number of elections stolen from him. He knows what it feels. He has known it over and over and over again, at least 3 times. Surely, if you're putting up a storied building and you want a consultant to help you identify the possible ways your building can come crashing down, you'd be in very good hands choosing a man who has had his building come down 3 times. That man knows 3 ways a building can collapse. And he knows those 3 ways practically, not theoretically. On that point alone, it is very clear that the BBI has to be our best chance of fixing elections, future elections, so that people can go to work. A major investor can invest the day before the election, and they're confident that all will be well. In my view, elections have been the biggest factor in hindering our economy by far. Ask any relative you know who does casual work. They'll tell you before an election, hakuna kazi. Casual work becomes scarce because everything's on hold. We continue with our candid discussion. Now, many people don't like Raila Odinga. Why don't they like him? Some people don't like him because of oaths which were taken before they were born. Blood oaths. Others don't like him because he's a politician who is too cunning. Many times it's human nature. We don't like cunning people. And there are many other reasons why people don't like Raila Odinga. But that does not change who Raila Odinga is. His track record, his political track record, speaks very loudly for itself. And it talks of a man who has given everything for a better Kenya. Indeed, even if Raila Odinga vies for the presidency, he's past his prime. He is an old man. It's just like when David Murathe told us that perhaps Kenya needs a Mandela moment. Mandela vied for the presidency, Nelson Mandela of South Africa, at a time when he was well past his prime. An old man who could not do much, who could not even enjoy that power much. A man who had reached the age where humans, good human beings, normally become selfless because they realize this life, everything in this life, as we are told in the Holy Book, is just vanity. And the real meaning of life is to be selfless instead of selfish. And so the honest truth is that you cannot for a minute compare the motives of Raila Odinga in anything and the motives of William Samoei Ruto, a young man. Born in 1966, he's even younger than me. Born in 1966, 3 years after we gained our independence. And he probably started talking in 1969, the year of the Kisumu massacre. In 1979, when Moi was consolidating his power, William Samoei Ruto was in Form 1. What he knows about Kenya, what he knows about Kenya's history, he has read from books. Raila Odinga was there. And of course, with all the emotions flying around, many Kenyans cannot ask themselves the very obvious question. Why should anybody oppose an initiative that seeks to bring the country together? Why would anybody resist an initiative that seeks to deal with our election problem? Why? Is it possible that such a person would be well-meaning? Is it possible that such a person would have good intentions for the country, selfless intentions, and not selfish intentions? Is that really possible? Just think about it. I apologize if I've hurt anybody's feelings, but there are many times when I feel that maybe it is time for me to retire completely from what I do. Over the past few months, I've had a very strong feeling in that direction. Because we're in a world where very few people want the truth. Instead, these days, people only want to hear what will make them happy. There are things I said, for instance, about the US elections that made some people very angry. Angry at me for speaking the truth. Many months later, and you're welcome to review my videos on this particular topic, many months later, what I said still haunts us. We have the election results, of course, which are contrary to what I said. But there are so many things happening, unprecedented things, strange things, bizarre things, which even a blind person cannot miss. And in my view, and this will make people angry, in my view, those elections are still not over. What happened to the days when people would listen to somebody's views, control their emotions, and put their brain to work? What happened to those golden days? What happened to the days when people would listen to your very contrary views and then afterwards hug you, shake your hand, buy you a cup of tea? What happened to those days? I will tell you the truth. What happened is that we're in the days, we're in the season of deception. And because we're in that season, a vast majority of us on the globe will be deceived. Very smart people, ordinarily very clever people, but they will be deceived. This is the season. It was written thousands of years ago. And that is why, even after a majority of the counties, except one so far, voted yes for the BBI, some people said people are happy now, but they are going to regret this in a very major way later. And they stopped there. They didn't give us the points why we're going to regret passing the BBI. What is it exactly that is going to make Kenyans regret bitterly? What? A bloated parliament? We already have that. And a bloated government to boot. Yeah, and we are suffering already the effects of that. And we're already bitterly regretting. So in future, there's no way we can regret more bitterly. How? And it's already happening. And if anything, even if the BBI was not passed, we would still have that problem and would still be regretting bitterly. So in my view, that particular statement, without convincing qualification, does not make any sense. But many people drank it in and repeated it all over social media. Something else that is happening that some people may not be aware of. We have hired people, very many of them, who are on social media 24/7, pushing this kind of rhetoric, convincing Kenyans that they will regret without giving them any reasons. And these people never hesitate to twist the truth to get their point across. For instance, they told us that MCAs were bribed. They were given a few millions each in order to pass the BBI, which of course is a lie. The truth is, car grants were approved for all MCAs, including Baringo MCAs, who have voted against the BBI. That is the truth. And what we must know is that as we head to a referendum, these people who are not giving us the truth are going to get even more determined. They are going to do things that are even more desperate. Some Kenyans know what is happening, but many have no idea. And they'll keep on swallowing these lies, hook, line, and sinker. And what worries me most is that to many of these people, this is just a game. And yet it is very serious. Because we are talking about the future of our country, the future of your children, the future of my children, the future of our grandchildren, and generations to come. When the emotions are long gone, the emotions of current partisan politics, when those are gone, those coming after us will look at what we did with the opportunities we were given to make a better Kenya. And I'm well aware of the fact that times are hard. But those who will have been seen to have taken money, cash, or other incentives in order for us to miss an opportunity or opportunities to make a better Kenya will of course be judged very harshly. Many of us have forgotten that we live in an age where things we say now, things we write on social media now, will be read, will be heard, will be seen by Kenyans 100 years from now. Kumbe, my great-great-grandfather took money to oppose the BBI? How could he? How could I be related to such a person? What kind of character was this man supposedly related to me? Because I know many of us don't know this. But after the season of great deception will come the season of great awakening. Indeed, it is already on the doorstep, where everything that was previously hidden, everything that was done in dark corners, will be shouted from rooftops. People will know. People will be able to see clearly what happened. Now, before I go, let me just clarify what I said earlier. Although I've felt many times in recent months that it is time for me to retire, to stop doing what I've been doing for decades, the one who I answer to has given me a very strange response. His response is, "You're just getting started. You haven't even started. You can't retire from something you're just starting, or something you've not even started." That's not the correct English word. The correct English word is you give up before you have even started. And even if I was not obedient, it is not in my character to give up before I've even started, or to give up when I've just started. No, never. And so I will just have to live with the situation. I will just have to accept that I'm an analyst, bang in the middle and at the height of the season of deception. Now, if you've enjoyed my ranting, please remember to give me a like. And if you're not yet a subscriber, I'd advise you to subscribe immediately. Why? Because what is coming on this channel in the next few days and weeks, you cannot afford to miss a single second. Ask me after 3 weeks. Challenge me after 3 weeks. And tell me, "Chris, you said this and this. It has not happened." I welcome you to challenge me, because I know what I am saying. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.